So, really lovely to see you. Your life has changed rather dramatically, hasn't it? How are you dealing with all this, Grammys and Brits, the profile and everything? Is that easy to deal with right now?
Crazy. The people are coming to the shows and they know my name, and it means a lot to me. I think if every time you say it feels crazier, but I feel like my work life has changed a lot, but my personal life is still the same. So many other people that I love, and I get to be a bit more experimental, and I get to try out new things, which is always very exciting.
Is there anything in particular? I mean, obviously you've recorded for the film, haven't you? Swans of an amazing video.
Yeah, thank you.
Very filmic. So are you going to be doing some film work as well? You've done a little bit, have you? It's interesting that it's always been the way that for artists, there's this idea about breaking America. Is that still the case? That's seen as a very important step along the way to success? You're a record breaker when it comes to streaming, which is very much kind of the music industry now. Mm-hmm. So you've got quite a young fan base. What do they mean to you, your young fans, particularly the young women? Because you are an icon for young women, aren't you?
When I think of it, and what I would like to say to like my younger audience is that no matter what you decide to put your mind to, you should always work really hard for it. Always believe in yourself, because one thing that I know is I always had to believe in myself first before anybody else. And that was the one thing that I felt really carried me and helped me build my confidence and really helped me learn who I am as an artist and as a person. And
position, because when you say things, there's a lot of people that listen and there's a lot of reaction and you start a lot of debate. And I think you've been saying some really interesting things recently, particularly about women in the industry. But I'd like to ask you about the point you made about how we are to each other. I mean, I've just come back from the Oscars where it's just been Me Too, equality, women sticking together.
Yeah.
But that's not the full story, is it? It's a bit fragmentary. And if you go online, we are letting ourselves down slightly, aren't we?
Well, it feels like, that kind of thing, it's very hypocritical. And so it's trying to kind of get away from that.
Have people been unpleasant to you on social media?
It comes and goes. Get up and do all the dances and things. I'm very much, for any young girls, people, I guess, going to champion you until you get to where you want to be. And then people are going to try and bring you down or bring you down a couple pegs. But I think you have to remember that, hard work and your dedication and your passion for what you do got you to where you want to be, and no one can take that away from you.
What would you say to your young fans? I mean, obviously billions of young people are on social media. You've got a very heavy social media presence, a lot of followers, and we're hearing constantly about how toxic social media can be, how more young women are suffering the traits of depression and mental health, anxiety, and some people are saying it's down to social media. What words of caution would you offer then to people who are on social media and believing everything and being affected by what they're reading?
I think it's really important to kind of do what works for you. Personally, I like to do it all in bite sizes. Go in, show my fans that, how much they mean to me and how important they are, or, update my family and show what I'm up to, or post it for my friends so they know, or even for myself. Everything I do is really I like this, I'm going to post it. But I think if you spend too much time kind of diving in, looking for comments, I think we as humans, we're quite self-destructive, so we kind of go in looking for comments that that don't necessarily make us happy. And so it's kind of just doing it in bite sizes, doing it for the right reasons, posting something because you love it, but don't spend too much time or don't allow the opinions of others to dictate how you feel about yourself, which I think is the downfall. And what we're doing is the amount of likes is really giving us the validation of who we are or how we feel about ourselves, and it's learning to take a step back from that and do it because you want to do it regardless of people's reaction. It's like, this is how I feel, I like how I look today I feel good about myself and I'm going to post about it. And one thing we also have to remember is a lot of social media is all the positives, going on and you go on people's profiles and you see everybody like, oh, you know, they just look so happy, or they have the perfect life, or everything's going so well, and, you know, nobody really posts the bad stuff, or when they're having a bad day, or when something's going wrong, or, you know, something's not going the way they should. And slowly you're starting to see, and at least I'm seeing it in some of my like female peers, where they're kind of coming out and being like, this, you know, this was a period in my life that made me really upset. And I found that really empowering, because I also felt like, oh, I can also.
And do you think people who have a very big profile then should be doing more of that?
Absolutely. Just being able to just, you know.
I was going to say, you posted that picture of yourself not wearing any makeup. It was all over the papers. So
Oh, it was. I didn't see, but it doesn't surprise me.
Why did that? And I guess you think it's important for young people to see you like that. So there's a reality check, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's kind of, I think we're living.
You got a lot of credit for when you accepted one of your Grammys and you made that little subtle statement that meant an awful lot to lots of women in the music industry.
It felt right, and that's just what happened.
Do you think that women have to try a lot harder in the music industry than men?
To spend a lot more time kind of proving to the world that this is us, this is our songs, these are, you know, our lyrics, these mean so much to us. And I told you all along.
Do you think people just make a judgment? They look at you and you're this beautiful, successful young woman, and, you know, of course she doesn't write her own stuff.
And why I feel like I do it the way I do.
Your life story is really it's really fascinating, your background. How much does your background, your parents from, you know, Kosovan, I mean, how much does that inform who you are and how you approach life?
It's I've ever been given.
They came over here, they were escaping the war in the Balkans.
Yeah.
So they came here sort of seeking sanctuary to a certain extent, and a lot of people are still getting away from war zones and seeking sanctuary. You must have your own particular view on kind of refugees who are trying to be safe.
Yeah, well, you know, one thing I've realised is
what I do think is really amazing is yourself and your father giving back, if you like, you know, by organising this festival. What is the thinking behind that?
Well, it was...
What I found really incredible, I was reading about, is that Rita Ora's from Kosovo.
Yes, Rita Ora and Action Bronson and BB Rex is from Albania and on.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah,
so this is
there's
what
a
a
lot
new
going
nation.
on,
And
so everyone needs to come down to Kosovo and come find out and see what's happening.
Would you say that it's... we were just chatting actually before you came in about, you know, the stabbings that are going on all over the UK. Well, not it's an exaggeration, but it's scary. It seems to be quite hard to be a young person in the UK right now. I mean, what are your particular thoughts on that? I mean, obviously it's very disturbing and upsetting, but also slightly inexplicable, is it? Or, we talked a bit about the streaming. I mean, that's sort of the world of millennials and streaming.
Yeah.
Do you think that the time is coming where there won't be such a thing as albums?
CD, people are even bringing out little cassette tapes, and I'm like, who even has a cassette player? But you know, it's still that fans love the feeling of having something. I love having a physical copy, and I love.
So you're in the process of making your next album. How's it all going?
It's going really well. I think I'm.
And you're lucky you get to work with some amazing people, don't you? Like Mark Ronson and.
Yeah, I mean, actually, me and Mark haven't had the chance to get in the studio for this album, although we've been like talking about it all the time. But he's someone who I absolutely love, and I love working with, and working with him on Electricity alongside Diplo was such an amazing experience and so much fun. I have been in the studio with Calvin, which we've done a couple of songs, but he still hasn't sent them to me, so I'm waiting to hear them. Like we got very
last
excited.
collaboration went very well.
No, we were very excited in the studio for it, which is pretty cool.
Brit winner, Grammy Award winner. So go on then. Who would you really like to work with? Who would be your ultimate dream to work with, to be on a stage with?
Oh my God.